CFO aren't careful about their team fights, KT can snowball off of this single item.
They absolutely can, but at the same time, Nami, obviously really strong laner here, and this is going to give them a lot of power in this 2v2. You know, unless you have Cuz getting down there in the bot lane, then I don't think the Nami should really be that scared of this matchup, and we've seen how aggressively Doggo likes to play, you know, with this Corki. He's like frontlining on Corki.
It's insane.
He's playing in your face. He's daring you to engage on him, where he can then, you know, cleanse, flash, Valk, etc. out and punish people who are going in. And with the Nami, you know, being able to buff you up, that is going to be even more powerful. So excited to see what kind of an advantage they can actually build here.
Have our eyes down towards that bottom side. Doggo, the real breakout star of the tournament. He's been impressive from time to time in the past, especially MSI when he subbed in for RNG. I think a lot of people started to realize who he was as a player. But at this tournament, so far, one of the best AD carries we've seen.
And it's not the first time we've talked about him like this. Right the way back when he was on Beyond Gaming, it was Doggo that made a name for himself at these international tournaments, so much so he got picked up by Billy Gaming, ended up moving across then towards Ultimate Prime, and it was just across the board. Doggo was fantastic. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to find that success in the LPL. But hang on a second, there's maybe in trouble here as we move through.
Yeah, a bit of invade coming out from KT. Doggo will be forced away. Credit volley from BDD means that Doggo doesn't have to be worried about something like a seismic shove. The Winter's Bite doesn't find its mark, no concussive blows, no slows, and in the end, CFO were able to walk away.
And this is that same bot lane that they actually used against AL. You know, using that Corki plus the Nami, you know, really to a lot of success in that one. And so I'm excited to see them take some of these risks. Like, is it a risk? Yes, of course it is. You know, playing something like the Nami, you can get preyed on. If Wukong gets down there and you just get Q flashed by the Braum, concussive stun, you're stunned up, you can get knocked down. It's harder to play around vision, but you drafted for engage on that top side. And though you're talking about it, Rob, I like your points. Like, there's a lot of value that the Braum can get, you know, from against this Ornn and Nami. But the other side of that is you can kind of stagger them, right? So you can throw out the Nami ult, and then if that Braum shield is used, well, guess what? Then it opens the door for that Ornn one to kind of follow up afterwards. So it's like you can kind of look at it in two different ways, right?
Yeah, I mean, even different angles is also, like, if you can get Driver coming in on a flank or something like that, I think you can set up. It's just more about making sure then that you are able to get access. Because, again, I think if you hit that one-item spike for KT, being able to put pressure... Oh, well, I was going to say, if you had the cape, then you could put more pressure on mid lane. But it can be difficult for you to regain access to some of these objectives if you end up losing it for KT.
Interestingly, as Kaiwing and Doggo are forced back a little bit here, Kaiwing actually not getting any pots in this lane. Just went for the support item. Going to be using that ebb and flow to heal them up through the wave. Also has that summon Airy, which does give you that little bit of extra shielding when you're buffing an ally. Docdam and Peter do have the level 2 first. They'll force Doggo and Kaiwing back underneath their tower.
Yeah, it's a little bit risky. Like I was checking, like, did he use them? Was there something that I missed? But I went back, and yeah, he just didn't actually buy any potions. So, you know, he's going to have a little bit more money when he does first go back to base. But the other side of that is, of course, if you're trading heavily, it can definitely be very risky.
Importantly as well, getting that Bandle Glass Mirror early on the Nami for the extra mana regeneration gives you more sustain. So I can understand the idea of, I can save a little bit of gold now. If I can get that 100 gold earlier, actually gives us much more power in the lane.
I was going to say, even if they're going for the redemption build, like, we've seen every support essentially just trying to cheat. How much gold can I put in towards that item, right? Like,
it's Ardent Sensor all over
exactly,
again,
yeah. And like, we're going for the free boots now. Yeah. We don't even care about roaming because that gives us 300 gold that we can put in towards the redemption buy. And the whole point is, hey, we hit that first time in Atacon, and suddenly we can actually turn a big fight there thanks to that item.
So you're telling me the junglers should be leashing for the supports?
Exactly.
Level 1 blue buff Nami, that's what we're moving towards.
I mean, this Worlds has a lot of symmetry with 2017 Worlds. You know, you have T1.
Don't tell me that. That was a terrible.
It was, because Ardent Sensors, we see a Scuttlecraft bite. Peter putting the Unbreakable down, is going to get knocked up, almost falls, but dashes away. Ginger dashes in with the Audacious Charge, manages to pick up the kill, able to survive as well, but Docdam dashing forward for it. Hongkyu's going to have to flash the wall, but Cuz is on the chase. The Wukong finds the kill in the jungle, 2-1 KT.
That's the fight that we were hoping to see in this series coming through already. Over a Scuttle Crab, everyone arrives, but it's KT who are able to get 2 off the back of it.
Yeah, and Docdam walks away with double buffs on the Ezreal here. We talked about, you know, how you're drafting to try to get this dual lane ahead. And Docdam is going to be in such a good position now. Got the early kill plus the assist, has double buffs, and the wave is pushing away from the Corki. So it is looking difficult. I do wonder, you know, if Driver might go towards bot, you could send Corki top, try to change things around. Peter here got very aggressive, flashed in, Q flash straight up onto Junja, went a bit too early, let's be honest, and so he does end up going down, but the fight still looked very good for KT. They moved over first, they really were putting so much pressure on in this fight, and Hongq just couldn't really get anything going.
A question I had in my mind coming into this series is how awake are KT? It has been 12 days since they last played a game at Worlds. They have only played 4 games at Worlds so far. And I think, although it is only the first fight, we see still where they shine, that skirmishing, that team fight, working out well for KT. Although perhaps slightly odd that it's in the early game where they tend to struggle.
So Doggo is moving top. This is what I was talking about. I mean, the bot wave was absolutely screwed after that. So, you know, Dokdum gets a kill. The wave is really bad for you. So it's so terrible for their 2v2 on bot side. You can see 500 plus gold lead. So Driver is basically going to sacrifice to the team. Driver's saying, you know what? I will take the terrible wave. You go top, collect this wave that is pushing in towards me. They know they need to keep Doggo into a good spot, but it is a really concerning start just because it's not just about those kills, it's about the fallout afterwards.
And that will be the Dragon, right? KT are with Cuz already on this bottom side. He just clears in towards Dragon. He's going to be able to take that one up. And you've already got an AD carry to keep that push on the bottom side. And KT stacking Dragons, playing for team fights, is going to be fantastic for the style of composition that they have.
And that wave is still frozen against Driver. So he's actually, as they go up, he's going to try to run down and fix that wave. And he will be able to get it pushed in, thankfully.
Junja covering him there as well to make sure that he gets it in. Driver obviously not involved in the bot river skirmish, so does still have his flash, has his TP. But for the moment, KT in a really strong spot in this early game, about 1,000 gold ahead. First Drake at 6 minutes, stacking those up. And we talked about one-item spikes for KT. Having this small early game lead just accelerates you towards them even quicker. And that's why I like early Dragon stacking, because you know 1-item, 2-item spikes is when you're fighting for that soul.
Yeah, and especially as you start to now reset for Cuz, you'll be able to move in towards the top side, clear that out, and then as you were just talking about, like Grub's in a minute and a half, he's going to be in a fairly good spot, hits level 6 just before that happens, and it's kind of that little bit of an early advantage that is setting you up very, very nicely for this. But Junja wants to try and get on towards perfect in this top side.
Perfect, used the equalizer earlier on. Doggo just holding him away from the wave. It will be a 3v1.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is the wave is pushing towards perfect, so there's no pressure on him, you know? When you see those range minions stacking, yeah, it's annoying, you're going to lose a little bit, but you're getting the XP, and eventually it will collect and come to you, so you just have to play that safe, and you can see that Peter's actually going to TP top. They're just going to TP perfect down towards bot to collect that wave, so they're moving it around, they're just doing the same thing, basically, that the CFO did earlier. They're going to give Dokdum this stacked up wave to keep pushing him ahead to try to match this 2v2 when he's already on Sheen tier. He's looking like he's in a great spot.
Yeah, and also I love the defensive vision that's there for KT as well. Like, they have this ward that's just sitting over towards their Grump, and it's been able to spot out like any time Hongq started to shift across, if there's some sort of dive that was there. So just already KT very aware of the type of plays that CFO like to make in these early stages to garner these leads.
For the moment, both teams willing just to accept these waves. The wave stays kind of just sitting where they are. You have a few swaps coming out. You can see Doggo. It looked like for a second perhaps he was pathing down towards bottom side, but once again just makes his way up towards top with the grubs coming up in 15 seconds. KT will have the push in mid and the push in top, so they can just play immediately for those grubs.
Yeah, the big edge is that Driver still has his TP, right? He's actually held on to that. We're perfect TP down towards bot side. So I do want to see CFO actually challenging at these grubs. They should play aggressively for them because you have that Ornn teleport. But Cuz has gotten here so early, he's likely to just be able to sneak one grub away. And then honestly, as KT, you don't really care what happens after that. Sure, you'd like to get more, but you definitely don't have to.
He's going to smite it to get the first one. KT can look to see if they want to take the fight because of the push up towards that top side. They will force Junja back. Weaver's wall coming out. Seismic shove, crescent guard from Junja as he looks for the re-engage. Second grub secured there. It's CFO that get it. The fight continues as BDD looks for some damage from the side between worlds. Goes Hongq, dives onto the backline, but the Cyclone already takes down one. Doggo so late to this battle. Cuz looking for that flash across the wall and dashes to the grubs. Call to the Forge God from Driver. Lands the knock up onto 2, but he's so low. Gets another double knock. Unbreakable is not enough to stop Driver, and Hongq forcing another kill in. Dokdum starts to turn onto Doggo, flashes across the Aqua Prism. BDD still so healthy. Hongq trying to dissuade the enemy mid from getting on towards his backline. Cuz going in. Driver escapes. Doggo does too. Kaiwing does too, and somehow Hongq gets his way away. Dokdum still looking for more. Hongq dodges away, and in the end, a 1-for-1 exchange.
Yeah, 1-for-1, but the problem is they're losing a lot on that bot side here. They're losing plates, they're losing minions. It was a 5v4. Driver joined very late with the TP if he was going to actually do it, and Doggo wasn't even a part of the beginning of that fight. So even though there was technically the man advantage, the fight was very disjointed from CFO.
And a lot of that was perfect, chasing the Ornn out, so he actually couldn't TP for an incredibly long time. So you already get this focus on towards Junja, where KT able to try and play through this in this slow portion of the fight. But as this TP comes through, they've already gotten one. And honestly, a couple more of these skill shots landing, it could have been a very different story. Cuz gets out, but watch Driver here. Duckdam misses one Mystic shot there that could have actually been the kill on the Driver as he starts to step away. CFO were able to get one back. Doggo goes a bit too far here. And BDD on the back of this misses the seismic shove here. That could have been another kill. So realistically, CFO lucky that they managed to get away with how this went.
Yeah, and honestly, it would have been a game ender. Like, they could have gotten all 3 of those kills, and then that's probably all she wrote. The game will, of course, go on, but still, it is fantastic for KT. You're down a man, you get a grub, you get plates, you create this lead on Perfect, and you get the TP off of Driver, so they're going to have TP advantage here in just a minute or two, and I think KT are feeling super confident about their position in this game.
Managing to get 2 grubs out of it in the end as well means that they have that feat of objective stacking at 2 of the 3 required 4 feet of strength. Next Drake in 30 seconds. Yet to see that Trinity Force for the Ezreal. I'm sure KT will be trying to funnel as much gold into him as possible to get him there before the next Drake fight. But there's a Triforce on Cuz, and on the other side, it's still mostly components apart from a Sundered Sky for Junja.
It's also, do you really want to contest this if you're CFO? Flashless on your Corki. You have that Triforce now complete onto Cuz. And you've got push on bottom lane. I feel like this is really difficult to contest, where KT can focus down some of your key carries, and Driver doesn't have that teleport.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question, right? Feats will also go over if you lose it, right? And losing Feats this early also feels really rough. But I agree, KT definitely has the better positioning. They have push on bot, they have push on mid. They're there first, you know, with the vision setup. Junja is around, so CFO are absolutely considering it, but it's going to be so tough to work your way in.
Basically no flashes on either side as well. There's 3 available in the game. Perfect, Peter, and Junja, and Honkyu. As the Drake taken by Cuz. And CFO, it's spectator sport at the moment as the flash comes in with the Winter's Bite. Junja with a Crescent Guard, but look at the damage coming out from KT right now. They'll find 2 Junja Force low. CFO trying to respond, but Doggo and Kaiwing are forced away.
KT looking confident in these early skirmishes. Peter once again with the aggressive flash to set up KT for a boatload of gold off the back.
I mean, it's great for KT, but this time I don't really understand CFO going for it. We talked about how the setup was so much better from KT, and if you're not even going to bring down the Ornn, then how are you going to be able to actually out-team fight in a 4v5 with worse setup, with worse condition as far as your summoners and your carries are concerned as well? I mean, Ornn is top, he's not even moving, right? It's never really going to work out. And we can see Peter again just goes aggressive. Now, Braum obviously not a great primary engage, but both the early Scuttle fight and this fight, he's just flashing in, throwing up the Unbreakable, and even though he goes down, they're committing so much to him that you're never going to win the fight out afterwards.
And now you have a 4-kill Wukong that is going to be devastating in these fights. And at this stage, you kind of get to snowball a lot of these leads, because when you go up towards these next few fights, that's where you can now have the advantages as you move forward.
Mandate finish now for Kaiwing. We talked about trying to rush that to get more damage out of your Corki. And from your Xin Zhao, actually, with the Tidecaller's Blessing on him, the 3 Talon Strike can do a lot of work, but right now it's such a big hole that CFO find themselves in. 1.5k behind. First item still waiting for Doggo on that Corki.
I mean, Wukong is just going to be such a problem. When Wukong gets this accelerated, all of a sudden you don't really need a lot of help to be able to threaten the backline carries. Equalizer plus Wukong is going to be more than enough to mean that Doggo and Honkyu basically can't play, right? You just drop it on their head, you fly in, and they're going to have to get out of there, if not just outright die. Not to even mention, True Shot Barrage can come in over the top. There's so many extra tools that could be there, but they just don't even need it when Wukong's this fed.
And I think, honestly, KT came into this with a very good game plan of, hey, we understand CFO like to go for these aggressive plays towards side lanes in the early stages to get their jungler ahead and try and play through that, but with KT, they came in, they attacked bot lane, stopped Doggo from getting the lead. Then they had defensive wards on that top side to prevent any sort of plays towards Perfect. And now you're in a position with these early skirmishes working out fantastically for KT off of these early spikes we were talking about.
Absolutely, and I just feel like CFO, it's been less about the play in the skirmishes and more about the play prior to the skirmishes, right? They're skipping steps, they're not always having the proper setup. Even when they had the TP advantage, they weren't able to utilize it whatsoever. Yep. And when they didn't, and they shouldn't even be trying, they're going in anyway. So it just feels like they're trying to force it, and Honky's in trouble.
Either using the Ghost, TP comes out, and because of that, KT will disengage. They get the summoner out of drive, and that's all they're really looking for. Now you can see the pings going on Rifto, and it's like, okay, we can have a man advantage on the top side. Driver has to stay bot. We reset Perfect down towards this bottom side, and then we can go for that Herald. Still a long time before anything on the bot side spawns. 2 minutes on the next Drake and 5 on the Archon as Kaiwing's chunked out by Docdamp. And in the end, he will just dash across that wall.
And look at the map. No one was even moving towards top side, so that's more minions that are going to be falling here. Now Honky will get back, will TP up there, so they're going to be able to fix those wave states. But KT really happy to just take these slight advantages. Peter now has the redemption complete. You can see Blackfire Torch done there for BDD. So all of these major spikes have now come in for KT.
And you can see the consequences of Driver TPing for the save. He now has to walk up. Actually looks like we're going to have Perfect moving up here as well. I wonder if they did just want to have him push out that bot lane wave, but CFO forcing the tempo, forcing the play means that KT want to answer without using that TP. Cuz dashing in onto Driver. Honku and BDD fighting up towards the top side.
I love this call from CFO. Sack a wave and just get yourself in river. If KT can hold these choke points, that's where they're most scary, but same goes for CFO with the combo of this Ornn and Nami wave.
Docdump's just so strong right now, it feels like. Has double buffs once again, and is going to be set up very well. Doggo looks like he's heading down towards bot side, so I think CFO will be potentially getting him that blue buff, it looks like. And we'll see if they want to try to challenge, because Perfect is just kind of pushing once again. He's just pushing on that bot side, has the TP advantage. If no one's going to answer, they're just going to get the tower.
And I think that's where CFO needed to pull the trigger faster. Now it's Driver who might get caught.
A little bit, uses the Bella's Breath, gets the knock up onto the Braum. Aqua Prism coming across, Unbreakable down, Doggo Valkyrieing in as Driver's forced to flash away, and KT with a TP are going to have a 5v5 in a second. Tidal Wave out, castling that second Cyclone lands it. Doggo caught out first, the equalize on the backline. Nami has to flash away, BDD finds him with an unraveled Earth through Hongju, trying to get in to the backline to get damage on Peter. He'll find one, but he's burnt where he stand. Roast rabbit for dinner for Perfect as KT once again come out on top in the fight.
Yeah, KT come out on top again. This time CFO tried to really punish Peter there, but as he got bubbled, he throws up the wall. Doggo valks in, and they immediately turn to punish him. Peter throws down the ult, that forced out the flash, and then everyone from KT just piled in on Doggo. They knew it was all about the Corki in that fight. BDD has a great ult to follow it up, and we can just watch it one more time. He's just really wanting it a bit too much. It's not the right target to valk in on.
No, not at all. As you say, the Unbreakable goes up, and it's all sad times for Doggo. Immediately has to try and flash away, and everything is burned to try and keep Cuz at bay. So as BDD comes in, and that great ultimate again from Perfect just keeps CFO at bay. There's a few extra kills picked up on the back of it, but again, CFO are just struggling to find that success against KT, and now we move towards the Dragon.
Honku gets himself a little bit of gold. Now 4 and 3 on this Aurora. Has the Neandries and a needlessly large rod, but no ultimate right now as KT are going to fight around this Drake. It's a bit of a flank from BDD. The Weaver's Wall could split the team. Ginger looking for the poke. Driver going in. Bella's Breath popped. The poke from CFO landing a little bit more. Honku, though, gets the weirding onto Perfect. BDD on that flank position, coming in through the bot side. The knockback with the Blast Cone pushes Honku into the face of BDD. The Drake down to 1,000, secured by Ginger. Goes in with the Crescent Guard, heals up with the Sundered Sky, flashes away and somehow survives. Driver knocked back with the seismic shove. He'll pay for it with his life. The equalizer on the backline, though, is going to find another Peter looking for more with the Winter's Bite. And the stun on Honku allows Docdam to get his second.
The ultimate cooldown was up ever so slightly faster for CFO, but as KT's tick down, CFO fall down with them.
Yeah, I mean, KT, I think, just slow played that so well because they were barely missing the ultimates from Perfect and Cuz. So they didn't want to hard commit to a fight prior to that. A great smite steal from Junja does save that from being a complete disaster.
Chase under the tower. Doggo falls first, the turret falling low. Docdam was taken out by the tower with Doggo's assistance, but KT in the end do find the kill. TP coming in as Driver looks for a flank position here. does have the call of the Forge God, but isn't going to use it, doesn't know where they are.
There's no one home. CFO are trying desperately to make these plays happen, but they just cannot find the moments that they need. Committing to Dragon, sure they get the steal, but losing so much again off the back of it.
Yeah, and here we can see it one more time. And we can see, look at the ultimate cooldowns here at the bottom of your screen there for KT. This is why they are playing it slow. They want to keep them interested. They want to keep them round. Junja goes in, lands a great smite, but they know Perfect is about to have his equalizer back up. He had a fantastic ult across the entire CFO team as they're retreating, and then Cuz, his Cyclone is coming back up just about now, so they know they can continue to push forward.
I've been really impressed with Perfect's Rumble ult usage throughout this tournament. He's been spectacular on it, and we're seeing it throughout this game as well. He's been catching several people out with that, even finishing off Junja at the end. And now KT, it feels like you kind of just get to dot your I's and cross your T's. Like, keep EDD in a side lane, keep up that pressure. They're going to take Riptide off the back of this, and it looks like for CFO, they're going to try and overload this bottom side of the map. Perfect can probably just, yeah, I think the wave's gone, so it's just a nothing burger.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough because, I mean, the bright side obviously is that Seoul isn't right around the corner. They've delayed a little bit. You can hope to maybe try to find some picks. But the downside is they don't really have a lot of ways to create explosive engages, to create that action. As long as Peter is the one face checking, you're never going to really get a winning fight if he has people behind him. It just takes too much of their damage to be able to actually knock down this Braum.
You also just don't have the range.
Yeah.
Like, you've got a Tidal Wave and a Call of the Forge God and an Unbreakable on the other side, which is going to eat up those very easily for KT.
I think if there is a team that won't give up, though, it is CFO.
Yeah.
We've seen it every single time that they've fallen behind. They will keep fighting. They will keep fishing for picks. So if KT start to get lax for a moment, that's where CFO can try and find these picks. Now, it's not easy, but definitely this is a team that will find them, but I think they're getting caught.
Man, this frontline Braum, I'm loving it. Glacial Fisher onto 2. The Oysters are falling as KT collapse. Driver stunned up, put another pearl on the necklace. KT as 2 more Oysters fall.
And Peter just blast cones himself in there. He's saying, we don't have a gauge. We don't have a gauge. Are you seeing this game? Peter is just flashing in on CD. And this time doesn't have the flash, but he has got no problems at all. My man knows his role. They are snowballing. He's just going to throw himself in your face. And if you don't respond, you're just going to get wiped.
This was the first time Peter got to fly to the country, and he was like, what if I do that in-game as well? It would be perfect. And it has been absolutely fantastic. KT, this pick, brilliant. Peter sends himself on in, and CFO are like, wait, what the hell is a Braum doing here?
Yeah, Peter is just making action happen. Every fight is a good one for the team if you've got them behind you. He's able to force it. They get those kills. They take Otacon. And they are just pushing this advantage further and further ahead. I agree, CFO is going to keep fighting it out. They're not a team to just bleed out slowly, but it does feel like this next fight could be the death knell.
They're also a team where one game isn't indicative of how the series will
Very
go.
true.
Right, CFO, even against AL, we saw them losing, but still fighting back. The question is, will they get the Scion? Will they be able to find ways to fight back against KT? Because a lot of it can be defined in draft for them, where the rest will come in instead of Driver as well.
I mean, it was also true against FlyQuest, right?
Yeah.
FlyQuest was at Soul Point, was up 3 or 4K in that first game against them, and they just kept fighting. And yeah, it did take a mistake from the other team, but they were able to capitalize on that, pull the game back. So they have to keep looking for these plays. You're hoping for a hero moment. Honkyu has been the only one that's been really even close in gold, it feels like, for a long time. So maybe if he can find that dream flank, you know, if Peter goes too far ahead of the rest of the team and he can get the back line, maybe you can find some sort of an angle. But it feels so hard because they have no vision. And, you know, when you're looking at the map, like, that is terrifying. You know, when you're saying, okay, you need to find this dream flank, you need to find this dream pick, you don't know where anyone is.
And alongside that, even if you do, like, Ezreal just arcane shifts away. Like, you put down the Between Worlds, you try and dive onto the back line, and Dockdown just says, okay, I'm jumping over this wall. BDD, perhaps the target for them. It has that Leandri to a little bit of health as CFO trying to get some pressure in from Driver up towards this top side. Third Drake will go over to KT. CFO just trying to get every bit of gold they can in their pockets before the Baron spawn in 2 minutes' time.
Yeah, and KT even denying that push in the top side, even if it is with the Ornn, it's just making it very difficult for CFO to do anything on the map. And as you say, a minute and a half now until that Baron is up and available. That kind of feels like where KT will just get to blow the game open. You end up picking it up, you push in, and Doggo just able to get out of there.
Riptide comes down. As KT look for the push in mid, Weaver's wall being used as well, and CFO just forced away from defending their own objectives, their own towers. Honku looking for the weirding, won't find too much more out of it as Peter's able to retreat. The tier 2 falls for KT.
Yeah, small little advantage there, but Doggo did get the Cyclone out. They did get Peter low. And the Ornn upgrades are starting to come through. Driver has his first ornament, so some small little things working in CFO's favor. They know they have some tempo because Braum is low and Wukong has no ult, so they're going to try to push up, see, will KT overextend? Will they make a mistake that we can try to capitalize on? Of course, every shot is a long shot from this game state, but you've got to take your chances.
Yeah, and I think CFO have been the team that have done it the best, trying to get some vision down around the Baron. 45 seconds until that's up. Nothing too deep, though, which might have given that opportunity for some sort of flank play, but KT, they're going to continue this push. And as long as they can push these waves back, it makes it difficult now for CFO to contest on the vision points that KT are going to be able to establish.
We are getting towards 2 items for CFO. Trinity Force Manamune complete for Doggo. Honku has the Shadow Flame Liandry's, got a Sundered Sky and the Black Cleaver for Ginger. So if they can find the backline, they will be able to get through them. Driver gets tankier and tankier as the game goes on. It's hard to work your way through an Ornn, especially as an Ezreal who, although he is at 3 items, doesn't have that huge crit chance, doesn't have a huge amount of damage as they find the pick here onto Peter. Tidal wave down. Peter's going to stand beside his teammate, but Honku puts him in his place. CFO find the pick. TP coming out from Perfect. Honku looking for a little bit more. Cyclone from Cuz just to try and distract and dissuade the engage from CFO, but a great knockback onto Ginger means that Cuz goes on a rampage. Driver now on the retreat with the rest of the Oysters, but KT are not letting them escape easily. Doggo onto top down! 80 for 80 and Honku adds another onto that receipt. It's 2 so far. Driver retreats. KT still looking for more as Cuz and BDD step forward, but do they have the damage? Do they have the gap closing to catch up with CFO?
This is exactly what we were talking about. CFO finding their moment. A pick onto Peter. It doesn't quite get them the Baron, but it does get them some much needed gold.
It does, and I mean, Doggo taking his chances there. Valk forward flashing in. Peter gets caught over the wall, and they do not hesitate whatsoever. Junjin instantly goes in. They are able to knock down Peter, and then KT is saying, okay, but we maybe can still take it in the 4v5. But look at this equalizer from Perfect. I think he's expecting that they will retreat into it, but instead it really gets nothing done. CFO doesn't know how to retreat. They're going forward.
And it works out so well because it's Doggo that you keep your eyes on here. As Duckdam goes forward, Doggo says, I'm all in as well. Flashes into the face of the Ezreal to get the kill. And that makes the difference here. There is no AD carry left to try and free fire on some of the low health CFO members.
And there's some big shutdowns as well. Honky got an 800 gold shutdown. That is going to get him the death cap. Another ornament comes through as Driver gets some more experience. That's now a couple upgraded Ornn items through here for CFO. Yes, they are still in a pretty big hole, but look at the damage from this dynamic duo, Honku and Doggo, making it work for the team.
And as much as Doggo has been around for a while, we've seen him at MSIs. Honku is the opposite. It is his rookie year. He won Rookie of the Year and Player of the Year over in the LCP. We saw him first at MSI challenging, and now here for CFO on the international stage in a quarter-final. He's not letting the nameplates say anything to him. He is playing this game with those nameplates off.
And I just love this about CFO. I mean, this is a team that has represented the LCP in every single one of the international tournaments. And now they are sitting in quarterfinals against the LCK 3rd seed. And it has not been easy, but they may just be starting to wake up and find their picks.
And something that Chawi, their coach, really was emphasizing that he wanted young players that weren't afraid to fight. You can't give too much respect to the LPL LCK teams. Allow them to dictate the game or you will never stand a chance. You have to make them uncomfortable. You have to get in their face and try to find these opportunities. And that's what they're going to try to do, but it's 25 seconds until a potential soul here for KT.
Importantly, KT's still very much in the driver's seat in this game. 5,500 gold ahead. Medjai's complete on BDD with 12 stacks on it, alongside a Lightning Jewel for that little bit extra penetration. GA complete on Cuz, so he can get onto that backline even easier. You've got a Seekers for Perfect. Their ability to delay a fight is absolutely massive. CFO pushing through the bot side to try and get a bit of priority to get into River.
And that's the risk. If you end up losing a fight here, there's already waves knocking on your inhibitor. But KT, they start with the Dragon.
Break begun by KT. CFO walking into fog of war, and war it shall be. Equalizer on the back line. Driver stepping forward. Chemtake secured the soul for KT, but is the fight going in their favor? A great flame spitter from Perfect with that Seekers goes golden, but then goes pop. CFO find one. The dive in from Cards onto Driver. They'll get one in response. Junja forced away. A weirding from Hongju, but BDD's on the flank as he looks for the damage. Can't quite find it with that threaded volley. CFO being shepherded down towards this bottom side. Junja looking for the engage. Doggo dived on, pops the barrier, but then it's put in the dirt. The dive as well from BDD. KT split the fight. Find 5 in the end.
KT wipes CFO off the map. They get the soul, and it feels like that will secure game 1. KT just too strong in these team fights.
They were cut off, they were corralled, and they were shot down. CFO, they were hoping that could be their fight, but now KT, they're not actually going to push for the inhibitors. Looks like they're looking at Baron instead.
It might not be the game-ending fight, but it was definitely the MasterCard priceless moment there as KT secured the soul. With it, they go to 9.5k ahead when they secure this Baron. But CFO, you are walking wounded, you are limping. But perhaps you can find some sort of first aid to get you back in the game.
I feel like that was the last fight, you know, the last realistic chance they had to get in, and KT just set it up so well. Look at Perfect's positioning here. He slows Junja multiple times with the Electro Harpoons. Then Peter is there to keep him away. They know all we have to do is keep Junja out of the pit. They secure it. It's a great equalizer to soften them up. And even though the early moments of the fight are pretty good here from CFO, Doggo lands a great big one. They have Peter and Cuz low. BDD and Doctum, they're full health, and they know this is where they're going to succeed. Yeah,
it was that early flank from Peter putting so much threat onto Hongyu and Doggo that bought the time KT needed to work through Driver, work through that front line, and then corral them into position where they can knock them down. Towers falling now for KT, and it feels like that base is surely going to follow soon.
CFO, 5 players trying to defend this top lane at tier 3. KT with the Baron for the next 2 minutes. Continue to push in. You can see Perfect's slowly guiding a wave in that mid lane. KT would have wanted these synced up because now they have to back away. Perfect's going to start to walk his way across towards this top side, then goes back to mid. Again, the wave's not quite synced as well as KT would like them, but they do have a few moments here as CFO trying to defend mid.
I mean, KT's gold lead is also kind of lying to you. Doctum's sitting on over 4,000 gold. He's not based in
He's only got 3 items.
Yeah, he hasn't bought in forever, so he's on equal items to Corki right now.
Weaver's wall out. Tries to split the uprights and does exactly that, but CFO still able to defend. Again, the mid lane wave about 5 seconds away, and because of that, CFO can clear, then walk back towards mid. You see KT back away. Didn't have the time to reset after the Chem Soul fight, then took the Baron, then pushed in, didn't spend their gold, and now that Baron beginning to expire. An entire Cyrildas for Docdam alongside a BF Sword.
Yeah, not a bad buy. Full Cyrildas and a BF.
Like, you're really happy with it, but also you only have a minute left on the Baron. That's 2 waves left.
Absolutely.
You are still in prime position to win the game as KT. But there are small optimizations that could have been made over that last sequence.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, they've got a lot of the luxury items in there too, though. You can see almost 25 stacks on the Magi's. Seekers is done. You have the GA ready here for Cuz. So it does feel like they have everything, but they are running out of time on this push. We'll see. Will they try to force a dive on this next wave? Maybe just drop the equalizer to force them off the tower and crack the base.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the play. Just try and force CFO back. They don't have the Weaver's Wall quite yet to sync up with it. Maybe they want to wait for the next wave, but like that's 30 seconds and oh, here we go.
Diving from Ginger, flash caught to the forefoot from Driver, get the knock up! Oh, Driver, that was gorgeous, but on the back line! Perfect, and Cuz dive in with the Cyclone, they find 2 for it. CFO pulled the trigger, but KT's reaction was absolutely sublime. They'll wipe away CFO. Hongju can only stand and watch as K2 push in for the win.
Blink and you'll miss it. KT jump onto the back line and they immediately turn towards the Nexus.
Hongju, he's hopping around, but there's not really much he can do in the face of 4 from KT. Cuz gives him a love tap as the Nexus falls, and KT go 1-0 up in this quarterfinal.
It's a great start here for KT. First win on the board. 1 out of 3 down to try to make it where they've never been before, the World Semifinals.
And to do so in such a fantastic manner, controlling the early game. But I know there's 2 people who don't want to say anything about this game, and I want to toss it over to them.
The only thing I want to say right now is that I am exulting, guys. That was an amazing game on the side of KT. It's the beginning of the series, so let's see how they can take this one. And one of the questions that we had coming into today, we've talked about it, it is the early games for this team. A completely different look compared to Swiss Stage, Emily.
Yeah, and it was super, super important because I think the big hero to me was...
I'm worried about how they're going to be able to actually play out these 5v5s. Like, if you don't have a perfect engage, I do think it gets very, very difficult for Doggo to have a lot of value while he is kind of getting zoned out. Whereas on the other side, Sivir just needs to hit anyone and kind of just ricochet through the team.
And also you have a relatively short-range composition apart from the Azir, so the Orianna value for the shockwaves kind of at an all-time high. So I really do like what KT have opted in for here, and it is going to be looking at what can CFO do to disrupt it, particularly in this early game where they struggled in game 1 to find any sort of answer.
We've already seen a 3,000 elo shockwave from BDD at this tournament against MKOI on the first day, where they were about 4k behind and he turned it on its head. KT then going undefeated so far through all 5 games they've played. 5 in a row.
How many do they have to win World Finals? Quick.
More than that.
Okay. You passed. You passed, see?
It's 13, right?
At least 6.
13, yeah. 13
At least
in a row.
6. I'm with you.
We'll see if they can do it as we get our way onto the stage for game 2. It would be really interesting for KT to go, see, quickly as Cuz steps around here, for KT to go 3-0 versus Gen.G, 0-3, 0-3, 13-0. That's just what a great end to your year.
Powering up.
Is that not who KT are as a being, as a whole?
The roller coaster at some point can't keep ratcheting up. There has to be a drop.
Well, it depends how you want the roller coaster to end.
In heaven.
In
the
outer
destined
space.
paradise.
You're just going to launch off, you know?
True.
Then there's no gravity. Then the roller coaster can do whatever it wants.
Oh, great hook from Peter as he finds Ginger, forces him to flash away. And that negates a lot of what Ginger wants to do in the early game. This Trundle really relies on getting into the enemy's face. And against the Jarvan, he can do that because he farms so much faster.
And also just counter ganking is so effective when the Jarvan uses that EQ in, then you can try and turn around as the Trundle, but you're going to be able to get value as that as Cuz and have a flash to try to escape. So it does open up Cuz, at least for the next 5 minutes, to try and make some early plays. But realistically, we have seen junglers just going for these full clears consistently. So how much KT are going to be able to find success in the lanes in the early stages still waits to be seen.
And you got to take your eyes up towards that top lane, as it is going to be a lane swap up here. It is going to be Doggo moving up towards that top side to take the 1v1 against this Renekton. So it will be Rest on the Cassante, taking the 2v2 down on the bot side with Kaiwing. And the question is just kind of how much of the CS can they get? Can they keep their health high to really be able to get as much of this farm as possible?
Also just get as much experience as possible onto that Cassante. Not very easy to force him away in the early game as Hongkyu and BDG just trading here in the mid lane. Perfect. You should be okay on the Renekton. You've got the Cold and Meek to heal yourself up a little bit. You've got the Slice and Dice hits level 2. There's always the threat of a Slice Ruthless Predator Jarvan gank.
Yeah, there really is, and I do think, oh, BDD in trouble.
Falling low to Hongkyu here. We'll just walk around the corner. Can't be sure where Cuz is right now as Hongkyu, so you have to just be that little bit more cautious, especially with Peter walking his way up.
He's on the way. Can Hongkyu avoid this? Peter, well, does he just want to invest the flash? BDD's so
Peter's
low!
just gonna look for the flash hook underneath the tower, but it's not gonna be enough damage from Hongkyu. Still able to flash away. Summoners exchanged between the Nort and the Azir.
Nice roam from Peter.
He uses the heal for him as well. Now BDD's gonna flash just to kill Kaiwing. Flash heal wasn't enough. That's really well done from KT. Hongkyu perhaps a little greedy staying around.
They thought they'd be able to make the play with Kaiwing matching the roam, but a little bit too late. And BDD with the first blood.
Yeah, I want to see, did Kaiwing's heal actually hit on Hongkyu, or was it just a little bit too late?
Yeah, too late.
I thought it was too late watching it live there, which is definitely tough. Peter already having a big impact, forcing out the flash on the Trundle very early, and now Kaiwing trying to do what he can, hold this wave, so Hongkyu cannot get too far behind.
Oh, Cuz flash. Oh, flag and drag from Cuz just wide. A hook lands onto a minion, and Peter unable to find his connection there.
And Hongkyu held onto his TP because Kaiwing was freezing the wave. He didn't actually have to TP back, so that is nice for him. But look over on the other side. It's upgraded tier 2 boots. Honkyu just got a dagger and no pots. So even just that little bit of damage is that much closer to sending him back to base once again. This pressure that Peter put on is so effective.
Now Rest with the wave pushing away from him, getting forced out of this bot lane. A couple of minions will die to the tower, but KT should be able to catch them. Pillar down, slice away from Perfect. Easy enough escape for the Croc.
It was always going to be a tough work to try and make that happen on the top side. So either way, though, as you say, KT in a great spot. Now Rest.
Got the Pathmaker, should be able to get his way out. But I think this is the game that we really begin to see BDD living up to that idol status he talked about in the teaser for the video.
I mean, that's tough. You know, thankfully, like I said, he was able to hold on to TP because Kaiwing froze, so he's going to go back, but his buy is going to be terrible, right? Like, maybe he's just going to get a refillable in a ward or something. I don't think he's going to have too much gold. So he's going to be able to upgrade the dagger, but does he even have potions on top? Is he really going back with no potions again? Yeah, okay.
Just gets himself a recurve boat.
And BDD should be able to match the reset here as well, with it being a cannon wave. Honkyu trying to freeze because damn sure he doesn't want that to happen.
You can't do that. Like, you can't just be tanking the minions.
The wave is so far away as well. Even the shield from the Azir isn't going to be enough, and the wave will crash in. BDD on his way back out with an amplifying tome alongside those Ionian boots of lucidity for the extra CDR. And right now, KT's early game, this series actually has really leveled up from where it's been so far. Peter, Hex splashing onto Rest, looking for the auto attack here. We'll get the dredge line in as the Pathmaker out from Rest again gets him to safety. Really nice buffer there. You buffer the auto and then you dredge line in the middle of it to cancel the animation.
But you're just going to continue to get this wave frozen on you, so Rest's going to have to reset, and I think at this stage, CFO have to accept they're going to match towards standard lanes if they hope to have a chance, because this Croc in the top side has frozen the wave, now gets the TP back in, and KT again dominating through this lane phase.
Exactly. I mean, it's double frozen waves. Both your side lanes are frozen against you. You have the TP just to try to push it out, and your mid lane is kind of getting crushed right now after that early pressure, so it's triple losing lanes for CFO.
I usually like my oysters on ice, but this is not what I like for CFO right now. KT off to a strong early start here in Game 2.
And it's a bit of the flash freeze as well, because Junja having burnt that flash earlier means that he's not really able to get involved in the lanes for fear that Cuz ends up matching. So across the board, again, KT doing so well off that early pressure, and now you start to look at, well, Dragon's up and available. We start to look at the rotations.
Good hook onto Doggo. Grand entrance coming out from Kaiwing. Battle Dance for a little bit of shielding. It's if you want to get the drop on your opponents like Peter just got the drop on CFO, remember, log into your Riot account on LoLesports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes, icons, and capsules whenever you can.
Because looking to style on CFO on this bottom side here, already forcing CFO back. TP coming through from Peter to make sure he can get down here. And I think they just go for the Dragon. They've got the push in that bottom lane. BDD in a great spot in mid. They don't need much more.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking like they're in an incredible spot. Judge is moving down to this side of the map. I don't think it's going to be a contest. He's just going to have to probably give it up. Is moving over there, though. I feel like this would be such a tough approach for the Trundle. I mean, Peter's already in position to try to jump on him.
Dogtam just hit 6 as well. Dredge line in from Peter. Junja here, look and see if he can find a pillar, but you don't really want to take this fight. You're at a disadvantage in terms of ultimates, and KT will just secure their first Drake again, around that 7-minute mark. It's really early from there.
And that's what I was going to say, is you're kind of happy if you're a CFO that you didn't end up giving a bunch of kills away like you did in game number 1. So CFO able to back away, hoping that they can find those fights later on. And you do have things like the Azir and the Kazante, which will scale very well into the game. But at the moment, they just don't have ways to break this control KT have.
I think Peter has just played an excellent game, right? He's starting right from the level 1. Even his positioning here around that Dragon, playing in the banana brush, not allowing Junja to ever find an opportunity to contest here realistically, and just going to continue playing towards his strength. He knows you're going to win the 2v2s with BDD, so just keep moving here, keep enabling BDD to play from this position of power. Look at Honkyu. He's just, every time he steps forward, it's command attack, it's dissonance, it's just chunk after chunk after chunk onto Honkyu that is making his life miserable.
I think Peter's just had a really good series so far, really good world so far. You could see signs of it when he was on Nongshim, like there were signs of what he could become, but here on KT really has leveled up. Now in his first international, his first worlds, we're seeing exactly what this guy can do.
And what a lovable player he is. I mean, this is his first time, flying. If you haven't watched some of his interviews, do yourself a favor, go watch some. He is just a treat.
Great hook again onto Junja. Is going to put the subjugate down. Flash forward from Perfect. Death charge onto Honkyu as well. But Junja already put in the dirt. The Troll King is down. Rest trying to collapse, but CFO forced away. Should be 3 grubs to KT. No smite for CFO. Doggo's moving across, but actually looks like KT are happy enough just taking the 2. They'll let this grub reset. Cuz can just wait around. It's like, okay, Mite's going to come back up in a couple of seconds' time. KT will get the 3rd.
Yeah, the longer CFO contest here, the more they're losing on that bottom side. That's a wave that's completely gone, and Junja has just had 0 chance to have an impact in this game. He's been completely shut down by KT.
I mean, it's just a great start again to the fight here from KT. As CFO kind of try to do this late contest, it's similar to the problems they had in the first game, where even when you have the man advantage, they're not actually utilizing it because Junja goes so early. By the time Doggo is moving up, he's already cooked, and then you're just giving Dogtown the ability to push out the wave, deny those minions, take a reset right back down towards bot lane, and the Sivir is just chilling throughout all of this, and you still walked away with triple grubs.
Yeah, just overall, Casey's early game really isolating the strengths of CFO and making them into weaknesses. Like Junja on this Trundle is behind on farm to a Jarvan. That's just not something you too commonly see in the early game. They haven't been able to find pressure in the lanes. The early lane swap from KT really solid as they were able to make sure that Rest and Doggo were forced behind.
I mean, it's not even 10 minutes. We're 1.6k ahead. Yep. Everyone on KT has an advantage. We'll see if Junja can try to make any sort of a gank happen. You just feel like you need to make some sort of a move, but I don't see a world in which Perfect dies here.
Dominus about to come off cooldown for that extra health on Topos. We'll get the knockback. Junja looking for the flag and the pillar, in fact. He's not playing the Jarvan. He does get the pillar down with a slice and dice out from Perfect. Now has the Dominus in 1 second's time, and CFO won't look for a further dive.
I was just going to say, there's a very slim window that they were looking to play on, and now Perfect is going to be completely fine. Resets, opens, are going to be able to open up back on that top side, and you're not getting any sort of advantages through this. KT continue to move their Jarvan up towards this top side. They can now look to support Perfect as he shows this out. It's just great stuff.
And I mean, you know that that Trundle is up on the top side, and just start looking at all the vision that they're getting, you know, down in this bottom side area. There's so many wards that they're actually placing in the enemy jungle here. They have all the info, right? You knew that Junja was up on the top side. You go in on the bot side, you place all these wards, you have full river control as well. You know, when you're behind, you're saying, jungler, please save me, bail me out, get a kill. But like, they know where he is. They got map packs.
Really nicely played from KT in this early game. For CFO, you do still scale. You've got an Azir. You have a Rakan there for the engage. You've got Subjugate if anyone gets too tanky later on. There's the Emperor's Divide onto BDD, who will flash after the pillar. And that is a summoner down for the KT mid.
And something that could be exploitable. 45 seconds until the Dragon. You could end up looking for him, especially with someone like Kaiwing. But there we go!
Depth charge! They get the knock-up. The quickness comes out, but it's not in time. Peter claims the kill, calling Captain Hook, because he's sending Hongq to Neverland.
And he's always there first. Kaiwing that little bit too late in saving his mid laner. And it's Peter that are making things happen for KT.
I agree. I mean, he's just being so proactive here, and now you knock the mid laner down. Kaiwing spent his ult. Cuz is behind Doggo.
Oh, Doggo, is your bark worse than your bite? It seems like it flashes away.
Oh!
Gets away with the killer instinct as well with the TP coming out. Doggo able to survive. KT, I mean, they back away. No one goes below half HP. They'll be happy enough. They get the flash and that killer instinct out.
Yeah, I mean, it's smooth moves from Doggo to survive in the 1v3, but at the end of the day, as you say, that's teleport, that's flash, that's ult, and your defensive highlight is just staying alive while KT is going to start the Dragon and say, good luck fighting us now. Your AD has nothing.
And plates in mid lane because you had to shift the Azir down to that bottom side, which means BDD is opening up this game even further in his favor with that first item already completed. It is still KT winning.
And it's feats. 12 minutes in, 3 objectives to none, 3 kills to none, and you've already got the upgraded boots coming out, the Ionian cooldown boots for BDD being upgraded. They're going to set up around this red buff. Do CFO
Don't do it,
know?
Junja.
No.
Oh, Junja. He starts up the red. There's the hook, and Junja in the jungle sent to an early grave. A 4th for KT. They ruled the rift.
I mean, this is just the vision playing off of that. They have been controlling this jungle so incredibly well. And now that they have the lead, they're just snowballing it out of control.
They've got depth charge here.
Exactly. He's just going to go right down. He's going to get stopped. You just flag it.
Flag comes out. Peter will have another hook. He's just standing there. He's like, what are you going to do, Hongq? Depth charge down. They'll look for the engage. A Cataclysm alongside BDD enough. It's a shellacking for KT. They're shucking these oysters everywhere on the map.
I mean, it's picture perfect, but it's an ugly picture if you're a CFO fan because KT are making game 2 look like an absolute breeze, and it's all been around this play with BDD. Constantly going towards mid lane, getting involved with him, unlocking their player here to move around the map to really get control. BDD has been such a star for this team all year long.
Rest and Doggo looking for this flash away from Perfect, TP in from KT, and they just don't have the damage to work their way through that Renekton.
Great flash from Perfect, predicting that Rest was going to look for that Q slow, and maybe that gives the Kai'Sa enough time to get the auto attacks down to take down the Renekton. But again, it's CFO hoping and praying that they can make these plays work, but KT happy to match. You still get BDD pushing in that wave. No one going to be able to answer for it. You're losing out on the map. Duck down, pushing in the mid lane. It's KT getting map presence constantly.
Exactly. And I mean, when you're playing against a team like this that has that much wave clear, that much pressure, and you're behind, you have to overload one side to try to make a play, but you're always going to pay for it, right? Because Sivir is just infinitely one-shotting the waves with Essence Reaver. BDD is going to one-shot any waves that come his way, and they have triple grubs. So you lose so much tower damage every single time you have one of these failed plays. And I mean, they did get the flash out perfect. That's nice, but they didn't even force the ult.
But it's so well orchestrated by KT. It's knock out Junja by kicking out one of the legs, then go for the lanes because Junja's then behind. And it makes it so difficult for CFO to actually answer for any of these plays because they are always at a man disadvantage.
And who is it for KT that's getting fed out of this early game? It's BDD in that mid lane. 2K ahead has been involved in every single kill. The synergy between him and Peter through this game, through this Worlds, has been absolutely top notch. This guy is popping off, and for so long, I think people will have looked at BDD as one of the greats, but not quite. Perhaps at this Worlds, he can really take that step to the upper echelons.
Yeah, the only man on this team who's been to that semi-final, hoping to take the rest of them there and the organization for the first time. But it's Rest who needs to get out of here.
Exhausted there for a second. Spell Shield coming out from Doc Dam, and Tofo Q3 going wide, but it's just going to be another tower for KT. They know they can force Rest away, take the turret, their second of the game, and CFO have been able to stop the perfect game from happening by taking a tower of their own. But apart from that, KT very much on their way to a clean sweep of this one.
Yeah, I mean, objective bounties have spawned. You kind of hope that you can do some cross-mapping, you know, pick up some gold to come back in. But when objective bounties are spawning at 15 minutes, you know it is going to be an uphill battle, to say the very least.
Yeah, and you already highlighted the wave clear. It's a Rift Herald now as well. So you were already losing on the map. Now you doubly lose on the map, but Perfect might lose this.
Pillar coming out. There's a Killer Instinct as well with the quickness, everything invested. Perfect falls the shutdown to Doggo. A pick for CFO and a small breath of life into this game.
Imperfect. Not going to be able to get away with that one. We'll see what they can get off the back of it here. Heading down towards this bot side, seeing if they can make a play or at the very least control some vision. They have to have all of the kind of vision past that line of scrimmage, you know, in the mid lane and through that river. So there's no more vision in their jungle. They really are hoping to not give up a super early soul point. When you're this kind of a dive comp, you know, yes, there is an Azir, yes, you have some damage there, but you really do not want to be giving over a Mountain Soul.
They did get the pick, but Junja went to do his Krugs, and you don't really get that push in mid because both Hongq and Kaiwing went to try and set up that vision on the bottom side. So now it's KT who are able to answer back because of that reset.
It's the same setup again. Rest is on his way across on the hunt, popped by Dogdam as they look for the chase. Depth charge onto Hongq, everyone survived. Dodged by the Cataclysm. Hongq not in the redemption in time. CFO lose their mid laner and now might lose the rest as they get chased down by KT. Junja on the flank of 4v4 begins to erupt. It's Perfect not TPing down yet. The redemption for KT will top them up, and in the end they just back away.
CFO are asking, why are KT better? And it's just cause the hop over the Emperor's Divide sets up beautifully. And now, with the dragon there for them as well, that's 3 dragons to their name.
I mean, that was beautiful from Cuz. Walks in, and he's basically daring you to dash away, right? He's holding the Cataclysm, he's holding the Flag and Drag. He's ready to punish at a moment's notice. Perfect reaction time there to immune that Azir ultimate. They win out in the 4v4. Perfect doesn't have to even bother teleporting down. They get the dragon there at soul point, 18 minutes into the game. They have really accelerated the game to a ridiculous degree. When you look at a composition like this, that's Orianna Sivir, you're thinking, all right, they're going to play it slow, they're going to play it measured, but they've just been dominating. They realize their position in the game, so they're going to keep their foot on the gas and just continue to press.
Just keep that pressure up. CFO looking for those objective bounties you talked about as they're trying to find any gold they can on the map. Doggo is at 2 items for going the upgraded boots. Instead, it just has those slightly magical footwear. The only player with a gold lead for CFO. And if you're going to put a gold lead on anyone, Doggo, so far this tournament's been the guy you want to put it on. Constantly impressing, but it's going to be a very long road back for CFO in this game.
You hope that they can find those moments, though. Again, like, this is the heart and soul of a region, a team that has defied expectations and made a name for themselves. And although they haven't been able to show what they're capable of in this series thus far, I think CFO have really shown that they are a team that you need to keep your eyes on at Worlds 2025. And honestly, at MSIs as well. Like, this is a roster that has continued to impress on an international stage.
Yeah, I mean, some of the teams that weren't giving them respect have already been sent home. Peter's looking for another play.
Depth charge down onto Junja the Pillar. Does not really going to stop anyone getting in, but a good quickness out from Kaiwing distracts the rest of KT. Kaiwing trying to dash back, but he's taken out by Docdam. 1 down so far. KT can advance. Oh, a great hook again! Peter, what are you? He constantly finds the picks, and now CFO picked apart by this perfect Nautilus. Perfect diving in for a Ruthless Predator. The Rift-Held charge coming down. Will they look for a tier 3? Cuz begins to disengage, but they'll just get the charge in, and then Peter should be able to dredgeline his way away.
And they can even go right back to the Otacon that's about to spawn here if they really want to put that pressure on. They're going to take away the jungle camps. They get the charge on another tower. It's 6k up, and yeah, they're just going to do Otacon on spawn again, because why not? Honkyu has no teleport, and he's still dead.
He goes for it again. Rest steps in front of the bullet for Doggo. They're not back onto Peter, though. Now slammed into the wall, and the rest of KT unable to respond in time. Doggo diving onto the backline. Killer Instinct flashes the barrier. Doggo gets the shutdown. Cards perfect, and BDD still alive. Not much mana on BDD, though. They'll still be able to kill off Kaiwing. Honku and Junja need to do it all. But Honku doesn't have the damage. Only an Ashes and a faded Ashes at his back. KT back away.
Again, Doggo risked it all for CFO, but it falls short. KT are able to continue keeping that pressure up in the fight, and it's CFO who have to back away.
I mean, Doggo is able to find a pretty good play here. You know, again, your opportunities are going to be few and far between, and this hook gets blocked there by Rest, so they say, you know what, we have to try to take advantage of the moment. It's another shutdown, and then Doggo just goes so aggressive, flashing to the side there to try to avoid some of the damage from BDD. Does get a second shutdown for himself. But the problem is, BDD is 3,000 gold ahead, and he is still alive, still fighting there. So even with Docdam falling, I mean, just look at the mid-jungle advantage. It's ridiculous.
4.9k between the two. The Otacon has been begun by KT. CFO still looking for it. They have the Emperor's Divide if they can find a way into this fight, but Honkyu goes in, BDD pops a stopwatch, Otacon secured, Kaiwing with a good quickness finds 2 with a knock-up, but CFO now need to disengage. All their engage tools have been used. Cuz diving onto that backline. Cuz taken out by Doggo. Perfect looking for it as well. But this dog who let him out, Perfect, shows him where the cage is at. Puts him back to the fountain. Only Honkyu left alive. As Perfect, BDD, Docdam and Peter collapsed. It's an ace for KT.
There's nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. KT are taking everything on this map. And CFO, they look confused. They look like they don't know how they're supposed to crack this.
I mean, I don't think you're cracking this game, man. It is an absolute stomp here as KT, again, know they're just at such an advantageous position. Perfect just goes straight in on the Nautilus. On the other side, you know, it's Honkyu and Kaiwing trying to find this flanking angle, but they use the redemption for the reset and then just send Cuz in. A great stun and bit of CC there to allow Doggo to finish him off, but Perfect is just too strong. No one's there to actually peel for Doggo. And again, there's just too many threats on the KT side. They're too rich.
Yeah, no killer instinct for Doggo as well to try and escape away, so gets caught by the Croc. And it's his swamp right now. KT, the Dragon is up in 20 seconds. This is Mountain Soul, and it's already been impossible for CFO to break KT.
I mean, this is going to be the last gasp you have to kind of think for CFO. It's win this fight. It's stop this Soul from going over, or you are cooked. But KT is ready. You know, they already have so much power here. Red buff and blue buff just got picked up, and they are going to be waiting for CFO to go forward.
Almost an infinity edge for Docdam. Doggo the only one really with 2 items that matter for CFO as they try and step into the darkness, into that fog of war. The Dragon resets. Rest using his health bar to try and gain purchase in the river right now, but KT keeping them at arm's length. Rest still stepping forward. The Drake how low 7K. Kaiwing flashes for BDD, lands the quickness and the ground entrance, but with a flash away from BDD, perfect, dives in, and the chase goes in from Cuz. Cataclysm onto the backline, the Emperor survived from Honkyu. Everyone from KT falling below half HP, but then now with the redemption, they are topped up to full. For a moment, CFO looked like they may have found the fight, but the wallets are too damn heavy. KT find a 5-0 ace and will walk it down mid.
Yeah, CFO posed the question, but BDD had the answer as he has every single time this game. 100% KP for BDD, 6-0-15 on the Orianna as they're looking for one of the fastest games at Worlds.
Sub 25 minute, the prize for them. This roller coaster keeps on ratcheting up. KT in dominant fashion are gonna make it 2-0. The scoreline looks at BDD, but the hearts were won by Peter. KT 1 game away from the promised land.
Again, control from start to finish. Desk, is there an answer
They
available?
look excited up there.
They do.
I heard you, and I'm right above you, so
We're turning around and glaring at them right now.
I will not hesitate to jump on those casters, guys, so beware. KT Rolster is 1 game away from reaching the very first semifinals in the history of the organization. And I think about this roster, Emily, at the beginning of the year, the hope, the struggles that they went through. Is it so far the best result that they have? And they're about to do it 1 game away once again from this result.
For CFO, they have some scaling. Wade does a lot of damage as the game goes on. They've got a bit of a tanky front line, but is there perhaps a range comp mostly?
I think what you can do as CFO though is fish for some nice picks, right? Like Zoe, very strong when ahead, but if you start to fall behind and you're able to look for these like Bard ultimates to lock her down after she comes back out of the portal, like they are very easy plays to make, and maybe that's how you can try and swing it. But again, if you just have this hard focus from KT on shutting down Junja, denying them from getting any sort of leads in the early game, you can look to snowball off of, hey, we're just going to move the 6 around and try and take towers very quickly.
Let's get on to Summoner's Rift for the 3rd and possibly the final game of this 2nd quarterfinal. I must be misremembering, having a look. Oh no, they have it was their 4th game, but it was with a Nocturne, not with a Viego. Similar idea though. The Nocturne was there with the Paranoia. You had the Ziggs, the Zoe combination for that initial burst.
Yep, absolutely. It is that kind of 1-2 punch of the Ziggs and the Zoe, but they also did have kind of some more consistent damage, and with the Renekton, they have that Nocturne. Of course, Viego, I think, kind of slots in similarly. But maybe we'll get a bit more of a Bruiser Scion to have a bit more damage. That being said, there's not really any like super tanks over on the other side. Usually we are going to see Rek'Sai building Bruiser, and Junja on this Skarner, not going to be too big of an issue, I don't think. So it'll be interesting to see how they can play it out, because it's really going to be about Honkyu and Doggo, I think, avoiding a lot of this poke, avoiding a lot of the damage. And Rest and Junja, it's going to be them moving in first, trying to absorb that poke, creating space for these carries for them to be able to have a chance.
Yeah, I think Junja's going to have his work cut out from this game. Skarner not great into a lot of range. Just the only real target that you're going to have is something like that Scion, but we'll have to see as it starts to go on. But again, I think it's more for CFO about getting Junja access in the early game. He has been such a core part of this roster the entire time that he's been on it. And unfortunately for him this game, he has been the target of KT consistently and hasn't managed to find that impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very difficult because there's a lot of tools to actually disrupt what the Skarner is trying to do as well. You're looking at Headbutt away, you're looking at Satchel, you're looking at trying to drive straight in on a Zoe who can sleep you. It's very, very difficult, I think, for him to be able to find these effective ganks. And then, sure, you can attack topside, but you're ganking a Scion, right? So it's going to be tough.
We've talked at length across the course of the series and on the analyst desk about, you don't say you're excited about KT. You don't get too much motivation when you're talking about them, because sometimes you're worried that they're not going to be able to have as much impact as they want. 2015, knocked out in the quarterfinals. 2018, knocked out in the quarterfinals. 2023, knocked out in the quarterfinals. Often they lose to a team that either loses to the champions or are the champions, but for so long, KT have been on the brink of taking that next step, and it seems like today here in Shanghai, it is finally their time to go one step further towards the finals.
And what an impressive performance it would be. The fact that they came into LCK and did not look good. They were not able to pick up wins at the start of their group stage, but instead then getting into playoffs, they have this massive upset against Gen G, and the whole world takes notice. And unfortunately that notice is exactly where KT fans don't want it to go, as KT weren't able to continue up on that success. But a 3-0 start here at Worlds, and now potentially looking to see if they can have a 3-0 performance here against CFO.
I mean, it would make it 7 straight wins at Worlds in the game score, but for CFO, they need to find a way in. Really feels important to try to create a point of power on the map, somewhere that you can really focus on, that you can play towards. Obviously, you do have these champions like the Skarner and like the Bard that really can get active on the map, but you need somewhere to attack. You need somewhere to go. I don't think it's going to be top lane, so you really are looking at Honkyu and Doggo to try to have that big standout performance. It feels like kind of all the eggs have got to be in those baskets.
I really agree with you. For CFO, it's, again, like an international where they have impressed. Last time we saw them lose a series before Worlds was back at MSI, 2AL. And now they come back into Worlds. They impressed with the victory versus T1. And the question is, can they find that form again? Because KT have been on an absolute tear today. Like, CFO haven't played to the level perhaps they would have wanted, but you have to give credit to KT. This is probably the best performance I've seen from a 3-0 team coming back after the break, as we see a gank in the mid lane. Oh, Spectral Maw is expecting the flash from Honkyu, but he holds it and is able to walk away. He did TP back into this lane. BDD burnt both his flash and his teleport too.
But realistically, like, it's a nothing gank from Cuz, right? He's already fully cleared out. He wanted to move back down towards his bottom side of the map, so a transitional gank that just puts some pressure on towards Honkyu, and we've pretty much seen this consistently, right? The attacks from KT have been, try and get in towards the jungle. Can we burn Junja's flash? Can we put some pressure on Junja? Okay, we've done that. Great, let's move Peter mid. Let's move Cuz mid. Let's try and put some pressure on Honkyu. That mid jungle that we hyped up so much coming into today has been under constant threat from KT.
Really has, and they're going to try to put some pressure on this top side. Rest has the prio. Perfect is up here. You can see BDD is moving, though. He's already heading up here, so Perfect just has to delay.
Got to kill him quickly. Junja!
Oh,
he
no!
looks for the Yashav's impact, but he flashes over. Perfect, who flashes away. BDD has the Sleepy Trouble bubble, and Junja is going to take a little nap. Underneath the tower, no one tanking it. The paddle star going wide. Still damage onto Junja. He's able to walk his way away. In the end, an exchange of summoners.
That is heartbreaking for CFO. Junja not able to make it happen, and honestly, lucky they managed to escape afterward. Rest doing a good job of blocking the paddle star from being able to connect onto the jungler.
Yeah, did a really good job to be able to block that up, but that is heartbreaking. Junja, such a strong jungler here. That does feel like one of those World's nerves moments here, as he tried to flash in for the unreactable Ishtal's impact to be able to get the instant stun on the wall, but he just flashed past him and then tried to hit us with a little drift to get back into position, but couldn't quite find it. Might have been the first kill there of the game for them, and it's one that you feel like you need that momentum coming in, but someone that they have been able to depend on here at Worlds is Doggo. This guy has been having a stellar tournament. We've talked about him a lot, crushing on the Draven games, and he's going to be here on this Caitlyn when his team needs him most. I mean, he's first of all 80 carries, goal difference at 14, really high damage percentage, has been passing the eye test with flying colors. You need to get him in a winning position, because even in these last 2 games, when you think about who has been having the best individual performance for CFO, even in losses, I feel like it has mostly been him. He has been trying to find these big moments, trying to go aggressive. You think to the Corki game, you know, flashing and getting that kill. You think to the Kaisa game, that bot lane fight, you know, going deep against those carries and getting a couple shutdowns. If they can get him in a winning position, Doggo has the mechanics to get you across the finish line against teams of this caliber.
Especially against a composition like this from KT. This is one that wants to snowball. Zoe went ahead, incredibly strong. Zoe went behind, bloody useless. And a very similar story when you come towards the Ziggs, but Dokdam has not been missing these bouncing bombs, and Doggo's hurting.
Yeah, and Dokdam is level 6, so you have got to be careful. You get hit by anything else, the ult might just be your flash or your death. So Doggo going to have to back off, which means you're going to be losing some more minions.
Sleepy Trouble bubble down. Peter looking for the headbutt pulverize. Spectral Maw coming out as well will land the stun, but only onto Honkyu. Kaiwing flashed away there on the Bard. Before we saw the trade in the bot side, Honkyu did look for a spiraling despair in mid, and it went wide, which is the "oh" I exclaimed as we worked our way down towards bot.
But again, KT, pressure mid, opening up for Dokdam on bot side, keeping him able to push in. And this is a big wave now that Doggo is losing on this bottom side. And it's because Dokdam was able to hit so many of these consistently. And now Peter, how much more do they want to go for?
The Mega Inferno Bomb. Doggo is healthy enough, but a third of your HP lost just as you walk back to the lane. Kaiwing a while away from getting down here as well.
Exactly, and that early pink ward that they actually placed over by the enemy blue buff, that was Cuz placing this ward after he did that drive-by gank in mid lane. That has been there the whole time.
Yep.
CFO has not been able to clear that out for quite a while, and that's giving them all this information. Peter just showed it to him.
Hey mate, there's a ward in there. Why don't you
over there.
get the gold?
You know what? I respect it. He's like, we're winning a little bit too hard, buddy. The ward.
Well, Kaiwing has to kill the ward, so he's delayed at getting to the mid lane. Hongkyu has to flash away with Peter but collapsing. Cuz has started up the grubs and picked up one of them so far. When he took that Chem Drake earlier on. Ginger trying to steal away one of these if he can, but he's at a numbers disadvantage right now.
But you still have that TP on Dokdam, who's just gone for the reset as well. So potentially going to TP up to this fight. This is risky for a CFO.
Sleep onto Hongkyu. BDD doesn't have a huge amount of mana. Grubs begun again by Cuz. The flash! Headbutt pulverize! Oh, Peter, take a medal, take a prize, impaled under the tower. But he takes the enemy mid laner down with him. Rest trying to come in from the side. He's going to get slept as well. A perfect nap for KT to collapse as Dokdam takes the kill. Kaiwing chased out, make it 3. KT secure the feats of warfare.
KT have woken up and chosen violence, picking off members of CFO everywhere on the map, and now they're going to move over towards their prize of these Void Grubs.
And again, it's one of these situations where CFO is not respecting the map state. You called it out, Rob. Look at the Caitlyn. Caitlyn is locked under her tower down here on the map, and we have the Ziggs, who's going to be TPing in, adding the extra man, and just beautiful play there from Peter. Uses the W taxi, and then Q flash forward out of that, sets him up for first blood. Does lose his life, but Dokdam is there. They have the extra member. They get the feats of warfare, and Hongkyu's just caught snoozing. He is taken down from long range. He was shopping.
They say don't meet your idols, and Hongkyu really wishing he hadn't on this one. BDD setting that up for the long range play from Dokdam. The synergy with this composition from KT is beautiful.
I mean, the sleep into the Ziggs ult from long range. And Hongkyu gets taken out, and now insult to injury. More waves going to be lost here. Dokdam 3-0, already so far ahead.
Temper Fate Satchel Charge down in the right position though for Dokdam to get out, and he satchels away from the cupcake. Took a moment to reposition himself there. Doesn't gobble up that Yordle snap trap from Doggo.
Yeah, and CFO are trying, but they just can't quite get the plays they want. Dokdam able to escape, push on that bottom side, more gold into the hands of BDD, and his goal difference this series has been through the roof. And now that you're in a position to continue this pressure, like, you can move Ziggs down to that bottom side of the map to take that turret after you push in mid. Start to threaten now and use these walls at things like the dragon, which have just spawned. And the first items are coming through very quickly for KT.
Yeah, it is really looking tough already as Kaiwing gonna get spotted, and Peter's looking.
The sleep again. Hongkyu's gonna have nightmares. Collapse from KT. And BDD claims his second.
The best Zoe in the world, and he's showing us why. Relentless pressure here. This red side draft is not working out at all for CFO. I mean, you look up, you gave over the Scion, you've created an 80 gold lead for the Rek'Sai at this point. It's just a nothing burger. And then down in the bot side, you have this Ziggs that was picked as an answer to this Caitlyn, and it has been just excelling throughout the entire game.
And we've talked about it so often for CFO. If Junja and Hongkyu can be on the same page, they can do work, but KD have shut them down perfectly. Dokdam flashes away, the headshot's not enough! The Peacemaker doesn't find its mark. Junja flashes finally! Finds the shutdown. Cuz now on the back foot. Ults away with that Heartbreaker. A magical journey for Junja onto Peter, but a double blast cone will get them to safety. As Junja might try and collapse on BDD. Ishtal's impact in, catches Peter. slams him into the wall. The rest of CFO trying to collapse, but there's the trample stun, a good impale through the wall. Cuz able to flash away, asleep onto that Skarner. Paddlestar just short of connecting. Spiraling despair on BDD, Peter falling low. Hongyu finds the kill, BDD still dashing forward with the portal, jumps in the end, CFO will back away with 2.
The Flying Oysters are not done yet. They knew that that was their moment where they could put some more pressure behind Hongyu. Needs to be careful. So Trouble Bubble doesn't land. I thought BDD might go for the flash Trouble Bubble there.
Yeah, KT were playing very aggressively in that moment. I mean, CFO pushed them out, but KT is like, you know what, we're just going to keep scrapping. They didn't want to back off to the tower. They didn't want to cede that jungle camp, so they just kept fighting, and CFO able to get something back here. But again, Doctum just pushing through mid lane constantly. Rest has been a constant up in this top lane, has been very annoying to deal with for Perfect. It is a frustrating matchup. You're locked under your tower, but Sion is still getting what Sion needs. When we look back one more time, as they had to expend so much to take down Doctum.
Yeah, the fact that he barely escapes here means that then, as you say, Junja forced to flash to make sure that he can get the kill just a pixel on towards that health bar. And at this stage, it's the right call from CFO. Just throw everything in the kitchen sink and see what you can get. And KT, they do stick around a bit too long. They're hoping they can play this slow with BDD having the lead that he has. But overextending that little bit too far actually gives the numbers advantage with CFO that moment to find some kills.
Exactly, and I mean, even with BDD around, you're still down a member. Doctam is dead. It's still a 4v3, and you're fighting it without the ultimates on Cuz, without the ultimate on Peter, with lower health bars. So it was definitely a very aggressive look there from KT. Wanted to try to defend. Not a huge punish either way, but it is a little glimmer of hope you have to feel like there for CFO. Unfortunately, the kills going to Skarner is not what you want to see.
He's the only guy with a big gold lead for CFO, 1,000 gold ahead on Junja, who has been the face of this league for so many years. As KT begin to push in top, the impale from Junja will catch up Peter, pops the unbreakable will, already down to half HP, spiraling despair is going to go back into the rest of the team. Cuz getting slowed by it as well, but the Severing Bolt not enough to kill off the cow.
Nicely done, though, by Junja, making a really good use of this ultimate. Pulls him in, gets the ult, gets the flash. Yes, he gets away, but they are not rolling over by any means. And if you can get that impale, it sets up Hongyu for all of his skill shots. Those become point and click.
And also just gives them this vision control in this top side if they want to play aggressive, waiting on that push from Hongyu in the top side, because you've got Herald in 30 seconds. So CFO looking to see if they can capitalize on it.
Redemption onto Hongyu just to top him up. CFO will really want to take this out, but now they have to look for the reset. No wards currently on Kaiwing. That's what he's going back for. Trying to get them up. Does have the Celestial opposition, whereas Peter yet to actually upgrade his World Atlas all the way. He's finished that redemption, as has Kaiwing. So in terms of warding advantage, it's a small one for CFO.
You got push on bot side and the opportunity to try and TP rest in. Still though, they weren't quite able to get the pressure the CFO wanted here. Couldn't get deep vision. Now you've got KT back out onto the map, and Peter again in a great position to just sneak some of those wards into that top side and spot out how CFO are trying to move in en masse to this top side of the map.
You can see that CFO have maintained pretty good defensive vision in their jungle. They're trying their best to actually move it forward into that river to try to be able to take control, but Cuz and Peter have just been moving around here constantly. You know, BDD or Doctam gets pushed, then they move over as well, and non-stop just fighting over this vision. It's so hard to fight against a Zoe Ziggs if you do not know where they are.
Especially when double Hex Tech Gunblade completed. That's so much burst damage if you can hit both of those channels on towards lockdown targets, and that's exactly what KT are looking to do, just fishing for some of these bubbles on the top side, seeing if they can connect with Hongyu. But KT gonna take it slow, push out the waves, and then amass onto this objective.
Yeah, Peter gonna go back, pop up those wards again, went from 1 to 4. And you have to remember as well, with the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, the next bit of magic damage you're taking is amplified, so those bouncing bombs can kind of act just like a paddle star.
Ziggs ult too. I mean,
that's my worry.
That's kind of the real dream, is you hit that on a carry, you press R, they're either dead or they leave the fight, right? Like there's no continuing the fight as Doggo. And, you know, in that situation, if they're going to commit that, Kaiwing is going to have to be really fast with almost defensive Bard ults, right? Because if to start off the fight, one of your carries gets hit by a sleep and Ziggs is going to throw out his ult, you have got to be right there to try to deny it. But that takes really quick reactions.
And Herald no longer the target for either of these two teams as KT set up vision around the Drake. Will be soul point for them, and an Infernal Soul with Ziggs and Zoe is not something you want to give over easily. Already down to 4K. Peter acting as a bouncer. Rest trying to get in. Ginger going forward as well, but a good pulverize from Peter. The Drake stopped with a Tempered Fate. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble not going to hit on Doggo. The smite from Ginger finds it, and Impale as well. Spiraling Despair for KT is perfect. Forced to flash away. CFO find the fight, find two. Rest dives onto the backline, gets a double knock. Ginger still looking for the chase. A Satchel charge out into the flash. Edge of Ishtar won't go any further with that Ishtar's impact. An ace in the hole won't be enough, but Rest still on the chase onto BDD. Forces him back underneath his tower.
KT's poke is exceptional.
Look at Rest.
No poke lands, and Rest want to keep this going.
He slept. Satchel Charge's going to knock him back. Decimating Smash there as well. Rest used the tunnel. He flashes back in, and Rest just slices them where they stand. He'll pay for it with his life. In the end, CFO turn their eyes towards the Herald.
Exactly. They're going to be able to use that pressure to go over towards the Herald. I mean, this is the other side of this style of composition. It is so oppressive when all your poke is hitting, but when the spells don't land, you have no consistent damage whatsoever. And watch BDD in this fight. He's kind of having this like one-on-one on the side against Doggo, but everything misses. And when those first round of spells do miss, Junja flashes in, gets the smite, and BDD cannot hurt the front line whatsoever. The carries are untouched on the CFO side, and once CFO are in the mix, they can't be stopped.
And that's the big one, is as soon as you get this Garner into place, as soon as this Rek'Sai can actually get onto the targets, that's where they are so terrifying. And ideally, KT don't let them get into that position. But by over-grouping at the Dragon, they open up everything for CFO. And it's just maybe give CFO that hope. Control the area, control the objectives, but Doggo...
Double onslaught. Doggo has the flash and has to use it. Gets himself to safety. KT's still looking for a little bit more. Importantly, most of the gold in that last fight for CFO, who have evened out the total gold in the game, did go to their jungler and to their top laner. Rek'Sai can do a lot of damage. Titanic Hydra complete. Tunneler as well, building up to more of those physical damage items, but it's not as much as you would like.
But for me, it's less about the gold, it's about the map control.
Sure.
Because that's really what CFO need. When you're getting down these turrets, it doesn't give KT as much access to the map, and you can make plays like this.
Charles impact, Satchel Charge stops it. That does mean the Satchel can't be used on the tower.
But it also, again, it's about getting this deeper vision. So as KT look to contest objectives, they're not throwing these like long-range bubbles through the walls that can then retreat, fall back step by step, and you have to constantly try and fight for that control back over the objective. If you can park yourself as CFO in front of it, you force KT to pull that trigger early, which is exactly what we just saw. That's not what KT want to do.
I mean, it's just kind of such an interesting set of compositions, right? Because KT's comp really is all or nothing, right? You hit everything, you hit that sleep into the Mega Inferno Bomb, all of a sudden CFO can do nothing. You miss all those early spells and get hard engaged on, all of a sudden you're not really putting out any pressure either on that front line, and Cuz is 1.3k gold behind. This Viego really needs that first reset.
Yeah.
And there's not any like point and click. You're not paired with a Syndra, an Annie, an Ahri, anything like that. So it's, again, it's just everything is, does your poke land?
Oh my god! Oh my god, the Mega Inferno Bomb of Doom, and Ginger overstepping Peter with a great double pulverize onto the backline, and everything hits this time. Rest tries to dive in, but is put to sleep, and all he'll see are nightmares of KT. A triple in the end for Dogdam, another sleep landing, and the chase comes out from Perfect and from Dogdam! Hongchu is not done yet. Castle chasing down. A heartbreaker, a stake through the heart of CFO as KT win out the fight.
It's a taster of what CFO could have, but it's KT who are once again cooking CFO over an open pit. The amount of gold and nourishment they're getting out of this roster is insane right now.
I mean, we just got to see what the two different fights look like. The abilities hit, and there is not a lot you can do. Look at this beautiful sleep into the Mega Inferno Bomb, into the Paddle Star, everything timed perfectly there. We're gonna call it the Mega Inferno Bubble. That was looking clean. And with him gone already, BDD, he's looking like he's got an aimbot. He's just point and click.
Peter caught with a Tempered Fate. And that cow might be going golden, but he is going to get skewered by CFO.
Otacon.
The Otacon next TP is coming out as CFO try to up the tempo. TP out from Perfect as well as KT are going to call for a fight of their own.
You've got to wait for BDD. This wall could be devastating, but he's so far away. The ultimates are flying, but Otacon is going down.
Honku already down to half HP. Perfect with the decimating smash doesn't land it. The Otacon should be secured here for CFO. They get it. The sleep lands, but only onto rest. Will KT continue to chase, or will they accept that this fight is not for them?
Fantastic play from CFO. They get the pick and they just force their hand, immediately start the Otacon, rush it down, don't allow KT to get set up. KT's comp is so weak when they're late to the fight.
And this is the scrappiness we were talking about for CFO. They don't want to give up the area. Dragon's there.
Oh, the damage onto Honku, spiraling despair though, into the net! And down goes BDD. Kaz on the back line gets the reset. He possesses that way, and the chase continues. Dives across the wall. Spectromore doesn't get the stun. Junja trying to retreat. Dogdam looking for the satchel. Another stun's going to land. Rest has the flank. Dogger's there as well. Junja falls, and now the Skarner taken away by Kaz. Rest trying to get in, locked against the wall, and Kaiwing and Doggo leave him for the KT Wolves. They'll get the kills. They'll clean it out, and will they turn their eyes towards the Drake? They'll do that and take mid.
CFO tried to salvage the play with Doggo and Rest running as fast as they could, but it's KT who are pouncing on Junja and finding the kills they need to turn the play back.
I mean, it feels like it was just 2 or 3 minutes ago that we were talking about Cuz being down 1.3 gold. He got 7 kills in a row and now is up nearly 2K on this Viego. He is a problem. Has the entire LDR purchased up. They just moved towards Soul Point as well. This play to start it off, though, was really nice from Doggo. As BDD goes over the wall, he almost one-shots him, but he goes back into the root. You got the 90 caliber net hitting him, takes him down with that headshot. But Cuz is such a problem. We talk about the lack of consistent damage. Doesn't feel like they have that anymore.
Honku's
the timing!
Decimating smash against the knockup. They don't kill the tower. Mega Inferno will go down as well. As Honku takes a drive to his demise. And now KT can look for more. BDD with a paddle style doesn't quite clip Junja. CFO back away.
Perfect's timing on that decimating smash was just that. What a beautiful play. Catches Honku as he pops out of the Herald there. Peter follows up. That's the carry down.
And it was unnecessary. You didn't need to take that ride. Honku thought maybe he could get it, but the tower doesn't even fall off the back of it. It is a stiff breeze away from falling. But KT, when CFO find their hope, they snuff it out so fast.
Yeah, and the pedal difference is pretty significant, though. You have to look over at CFO's side. It's about 2,300 gold in their favor as far as adaptive stats. So the gold lead lies to you a little bit, but still, it is KT getting further and further ahead, nearly 4,000 gold up. 3.5 minutes until CFO is going to have to try to make their last stand. It really feels like it's all about the setup at the Dragon, because if KT are there first, it feels almost impossible to walk in. But likewise, if CFO are there first and you're trying to walk through a way, you're trying to walk through this trap line, the poke is never going to come. So it's all about who can get that setup, who can control vision. And right now it's been KT with the pushing waves, and it's them getting the much easier setup.
BDD pushing in this top side on his signature pick. This Zoe lost on it back in 2022. Has only played it once since then, but averages about 75% win rate on the champ all time. So often we see KT having it banned against them. For Honku, he'll be looking like the last couple of fights have gone well. Couple of good spiraling despairs. I don't think he's had a series where he would say he's shone, but he can do it. We have seen him so many times come back from poor series, from poor games, and within that same game actually accelerate himself to victory.
And the spiraling despairs have been so crucial, not only for getting some of these picks, but getting those slows are crucial to enabling Junja and Rest to get into these fights. So if you can find them, that can be the difference maker, that little bit of a slow that enables CFO to close the gap.
And we got to remember, KT, this team that is synonymous with heartbreak, that is synonymous with these devastating losses, is now potentially one fight away from sealing the deal on their first ever World Semifinals. BDD, the only player on the team to ever make World Semis, and they're looking for a pick on Rest.
Just trying to tunnel away, but Peter uses the minion line to try and get himself towards it. There's the knockup, there's the trample, there's the drowsy, and there's Rest sent to a coffin. The CFO will use this time to push in the mid lane, though, take a tower of their own, can chase forward a little bit further. They do have a cannon minion here, ace in the hole onto Dogtown. Now they retreat because KT are collapsing.
But you still have BDD pushing to that bottom side, so CFO, they're not able to get the tier 2. It would be BDD who's able to pick up that objective, but CFO
Flash from Junja, Impale doesn't connect, but the damage onto Cuz will stick. Meanwhile, on the backline, Doggo has to retreat. Kaiwing doing the same, Perfect still just standing as a meat wall in front of CFO. Junja's gonna fall first, BDD gets Honkyu, and now KT can smell their victory.
BDD arrives and CFO dies. The Baron is next on the table here. They are crushing this fight. CFO got picked off in the side lane, tried to force their hand, but KT make the collapse happen. And not only do they get that, they got the tier 2 bot, they get the Baron, they get everything.
And on this composition that feels like it is unique to KT, this Zoe and Ziggs, they're hoping they can burst it down. They should be able to do so, as Rest was there. But KT, this is beautiful. And CFO have to try and make this play. They know they're losing, they know they're behind. So Junja tries to go for the all-in, Cuz escapes, but watch the damage. The knock-up from Perfect sets up Doggo and Kaiwing to take half their health bar off the Mega Inferno Bomb, and then KT follow.
Now, Peter for player of the series, man. He
100%.
headbutts away the impaling Junja so it doesn't connect, and then Cuz can rejoin the fight. It's just been sublime from him every game.
I mean, he's absolutely smurfing. That Ziggs ult had to be 3,000 plus damage between the 3 people that it hit. Like, that was crazy. BDD arrives, snipes another one. He's got death cap completed now. 2 seconds until the potential last stand here of CFO. Can Junja come up with another hero steal?
Rest is in the top lane, pushing in for that tier 2, does have the teleport and will use it. The Drake down to 9,000, BDD looking to see if he can find a sleepy trouble bubble. Lands it onto Rest, he can't join the fight. Tempered Fate on the backline, Paddlestar just short. Dragon down to 4k as KT look for the soul and knock back onto Junja. And again, it's Peter who keeps the enemy jungler at bay. Rest dives in, but the rest of his team are distracted by the cow. Now they're chased in with an unstoppable onslaught. And if that's not a name for how KT have played this series, I don't know what is. Unstoppable from KT as they march down CFO and look for the semis.
No one expected KC to be one of the teams that could push themselves forward, but at semi-finals in their eyes, their curses may be damned in this position.
For the first time ever, KT looked ahead to the World Semifinals.
And with only Kaiwing left to watch, CFO will be eliminated. A valiant stand from them. A valiant stand for the LCP, but today is KT's day. Kaiwing can do nothing but watch as KT take the Nexus Towers. The Nexus next, the KT coaster keeps on climbing. For the first time in history, KT are going to semis.
And what an incredible run it has been for KT. Make it 7 wins in a row at Worlds 2025. Yet to drop a game. They have been on fire. And who'd have thought Peter would be the one stepping up so much in a series like this?
His first time at Worlds, his first time outside of South Korea, and Peter is carrying KT alongside members like BDD. What an impeccable performance from the support player, and what a moment for KT fans around the